Welcome to the PCOS Fertility Health Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Angela Potter. I am an integrative PCOS fertility doctor, helping women across the country to help optimize ovulation, improve irregular periods, and get the best chance at getting pregnant with PCOS. If you are a new listener, I am so glad that you're here. This is a space and community where we talk about PCOS and fertility and really getting to the root cause of fertility struggles rather than just masking it with Band-Aid kind of solutions. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in and that's the kind of juicy stuff you want to know about, then you're in exactly the right place. Don't forget that the doors to the Boost My Fertility with PCOS group program are still open. The early bird discount has gone away, but if you want to be turning your fertility around starting in 2 weeks, you are tired of getting dismissive information like your labs look fine, just come back when you're ready to go through IVF, and you want to know how to create this fertile environment in your body where you're seeing ovulation, getting regular periods, and having optimal fertility health, then you can still join the program. Sign up for a PCOS Fertility Breakthrough Session. That's a free call where you and I are going to talk about your situation, how the program can help, and we'll get you signed up. If you are loving this podcast, please head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a 5-star positive review. So we are talking about elimination diets today. And, I shared with you last week about my history with nutrition, how I love it. I love food and how we can create these nourishing food plans to create health in the body. And that's been my first love in the world of medicine. My philosophy within that is not one that's really restrictive eating. I am not the kind of doctor who is going to say you have to avoid dairy, sugar, gluten, coffee in order to get pregnant with PCOS. Nope. I don't put those type of nutrition plans out to my clients and patients. There are certain times when avoiding foods is necessary. And that's when your body is giving you signs and symptoms that it's reacting to these foods. And so we're talking about elimination diets today. Are they good or are they bad? I love elimination diets. We're going to hash through this today, and I'm going to talk to you about what elimination diets are, why they're helpful, how they compare with doing food sensitivity testing, and how they help with fertility. So let's dive in. What is an elimination diet? An elimination diet is one where you're avoiding the most commonly allergenic, commonly sensitive foods for at least a month. It needs to be at least a month. And so it typically looks like an anti-inflammatory diet, avoiding foods like gluten, dairy, soy, eggs, tomatoes, just common foods that people react to. So you eliminate those foods from your diet for at least 4 weeks. At the end of those 4 weeks, then you're reintroducing foods one by one. And what you do is on one day, you reintroduce one food, you eat it, you need to eat a lot of it. And so then your body can respond to it. And then you wait 2 to 3 days to see how your body responds. If you don't get any symptoms, if you don't feel any different, then that's great. Then after 2 to 3 days, you move on to the next food. But if you get symptoms like constipation, diarrhea, stomach cramping, bloating, acne, irritability, those are like the classic signs that you're reacting poorly to that food. What do? You now have really good information that you are sensitive to that food. And then you continue moving forward with the other foods to see what else you are reacting to. That is one of the most important pieces, is that step-by-step food reintroduction period, which can take a little while because you're reintroducing foods one at a time. And I even separate out certain foods like dairy. So I have people reintroduce fermented dairy like yogurt first, and then wait a few days. As long as they're feeling really good, then they try non-fermented dairy like a glass of milk. So that period can last a little while, but it is the most important piece because if you are going through this anti-inflammatory diet for at least a month, and then you just return to your regular way of eating, and all of a sudden you're feeling crummy, well, you just have no way of knowing which one of those foods that you're eating now is actually creating the symptoms. Then you're back at square one, needing to go on at least a month of another anti-inflammatory diet. So in this elimination diet will tell you what foods you're sensitive to. It could potentially look at allergies as well, but for most people with allergies, they're going to know based on other signs and symptoms that are a little more drastic. I'm not talking about IgE allergies today. I'm talking about IgG sensitivities. Now, there are ways to get IgG food sensitivities tested. There are labs out there. I do not like them because there's no way to actually set up every food that you're eating and how your body is responding to those foods. It can lead to a long laundry list of being like, what? I'm responding poorly to all these different foods. And then you feel like you're stuck in this box that you can't eat more foods. That's what I see with those testings. And the gold standard of understanding food sensitivities is to do an elimination diet. Yes, it's a little more work, but oh my gosh, are you going to learn a lot about your body? Because the moment you do eat a food and you get one of those reactions like stomach cramping, then you're going to know how your body is responding to that food. Now, here's another important point is that I tell everybody at the beginning of an elimination diet is that if you eat a food and are responding poorly to it, you're sensitive to that food, it doesn't mean that you need to avoid that food for the rest of your life. With food sensitivities, it has less to do with the food and more to do with your digestive system and how your body is metabolizing that food, what the integrity of your digestive system is looking like. Do you have a leaky gut? Those gap junctions are not real tight. So you're responding to these foods because you don't have a really strong digestive system. It's not that you have to avoid that food for the rest of your life. It's just that we need to work on your digestion. Yes, it's important to avoid that food while you're doing that work on the digestive system and improving gut health. But then at some point, you reintroduce the food to see how your body is responding and how your body is able to eat that food once again. I will tell you, I have seen some really incredible stories. And, I had someone who, when she came to see me, was not eating any dairy. Dairy caused her to have a lot of bad symptoms. She did an elimination diet, and after that elimination diet, it actually cleared up her dairy symptoms. And now she can eat any dairy that she wants. It's really cool to see the changes in the body that can come from an elimination diet. Why is an elimination diet important for fertility? Well, if you're eating foods that you are reacting poorly to, that's raising inflammation levels in the body. When you're eating foods that you're sensitive to, that's raising inflammation in the body. And that inflammation is not specific to the digestive tract. That's raising inflammatory markers that are going around the body. And when you have more inflammation going on in the body, that can lead to lower implantation rates. If you have a lot of inflammation, your body is on high alert of foreign invaders. And unfortunately, sperm, it can be a foreign invader that the body tries to get out when it's on this high alert with lots of inflammation going on. It's really important to identify if any of the foods that you're eating, if you're sensitive to those, so then you can lower that inflammation by removing the food and then support your gut health and to nourish the digestive system to then get to a place where you're able to eat that food without having that inflammation, without having those symptoms, and you're supporting your fertility in the same time. For someone who is sensitive to a food and continues eating it, then that can cause issues with blood sugar. And we know that really intricate connection between blood sugar, insulin, and lowering ovulation. 80% of women with PCOS are estimated to have insulin resistance. An elimination diet, identifying foods that you're sensitive to, can be a very important part in understanding how to regulate your blood sugar levels to improve ovulation. How do you know if you need how do you know if you need an elimination diet? Well, that's going to be on a case-by-case basis. But really, if you are having some strong digestive symptoms like constipation, diarrhea, stomach cramping already, that's an extremely good indication that you would benefit from an elimination diet. And two, when you're having fertility struggles, food and nourishment is the foundation of a healthy, fertile body. And so you really want to understand if the food that you're eating is actually moving you in the opposite direction that you're looking for, and if gut health is creating that inflammation in the body that is impacting your fertility. So that's going to be an incredibly important part of understanding that root cause of your fertility struggles. So if you're in a place where you want to understand if it's a part of the root cause of your fertility struggles, and you've been working with a doctor so far that's just saying, well, your labs are fine, just come back when you're ready to go through IVF, and you want to get to that root cause of your fertility struggles, you want to get a fertility plan that's creating just a healthy environment in your body and that gives you optimal fertility, then your next step is to sign up for a free PCOS Fertility Breakthrough Session with me. That's a free phone call where you and I are going to talk about your unique fertility journey. We're going to talk about what's keeping you stuck, what these missing links are, and how you can move forward to turn those around. So you can sign up for one of those at drangelapotter.com/PCOS. Just a reminder that the information on this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not stand in the place of information that you're getting from your doctor currently. And if nobody else has told you this today, I want to be the one to tell you that I believe in you and I believe in your ability to get the best chance at getting pregnant with PCOS. I'll see you next week.